Hey, everybody. My name is Charlie Pleasant, and welcome to my very first kind of formal video for my YouTube channel. So, I cannot wait to spend this time creating content, putting out good information, or at least I hope it's really good information. Y'all will give me the feedback and let me know whether it is or not. I don't know what that is there. I'm going to get that. Okay. So, I just want to talk to you a little bit about who I am and why I actually wanted to start this space and why we're going to be spending the month of January talking about slowing down. Yes, everybody's trending topic to talk about, but harder than you think to put in action for a whole lot of people. So I really want to spend some time just letting you all get to know a little bit about who I am. And I'm just going to talk a little bit about my journey of getting to a place when I recognize that slower is the fastest way to get to where I want to be. But it is also the best way for me to tap into all facets of who I am. So, by training, I am a licensed clinical social worker. I am in private practice. I've had my own practice for well over 10 years at this point in the state of Virginia. And right now I'm doing direct care. Prior to that, I was working in community mental health, working with a lot of individuals who are living and thriving with severe and persistent mental illnesses. And I transitioned over. I'm still actually doing a little bit of community health work, community mental health work. So I'm kind of toeing back in with that just a little bit because it just kind of keeps me sharp. But I've been in private practice for over 10 years, worked with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of clients. I've typically focused on working with individuals who deal with depression, anxiety, general life transitions. But the part that I love is the life transitions. And what I found out more than anything is that I enjoy working with the 40 and over crowd, which is my people. That's my people. So if you're 40 and over, this is the place for you. I am, like I said, I've been doing this work for a while, but I'm also, I'm a certified internal family systems therapist, and I'm in the process, or actually on the track to being an assistant trainer with the internal family system, or the Center for Leadership, that does the internal family systems therapy. That's where that model of work come from. So I'm excited about moving or transitioning out of doing direct care more into the teaching and education piece, because I feel like that's where I shine the most. And so I was like, I want to come to YouTube and come do some things, right? I want to run my mouth. If I ain't gonna do nothing else, y'all, I'm gonna run my mouth. And I'm gonna do it consistently. So I'm just like, why not talk to the people about the stuff that feels important to me? Y'all give me feedback, tell me a little bit more about what you want to see, and then we get this little reciprocal relationship going on over on the YouTubes. So this is my baby over here. This gives me an opportunity to do a couple of things. The biggest thing that this gives me an opportunity to do is practice coming out of my shell. I have been doing direct care, which is a very isolated and insulated way of working when you're doing one-on-one with people. People really don't see what you're doing or see the benefits that you're giving other than the client that you serve, which they should. But I wanted to go from one-to-one to one-to-many. And this is why I've chosen to come to this place. So I've been pivoting my work in a lot of ways, and I think it's been just kind of like this matriculation of looking at my life personally, what's been feeling good for me, what hasn't been feeling good for me, and really just sharing with you a couple of nuggets of things that I think that may be helpful to you and for you. And one of those topic areas for me is about this thing of slowing down. So, let me tell you a little bit about why slowing down has been a pivotal point to being able to sit where I sit in my life right now. So, if you're like anybody else that have been through anything in this world, you've probably survived a few things. Myself, I have survived quite a few things. And it's not a lot of things that I really talk about, publicly. And I might get to a place where I begin to talk about that publicly. But what I realized, early in my career, that I am hitting mile marker after marker after marker, goals, all of these things, and I was chronically miserable. I was chronically miserable, and it did not add up to me. I was like, but I'm hitting these things that I'm setting out for myself, and I'm doing it at a pace, like a really good pace. But why am I not feeling this thing that I feel like that I should be feeling when I'm hitting all these other mile markers right here? It wasn't until, I want to say the year was 2009, that I ended up working with a therapist. I was living in another state at that time. Ended up working with my therapist, who had been my therapist for years, where I think I just hit a moment. I was just like, I can't keep going at the rate that I'm going anymore. I can't keep going. And I remember specifically, and I'll just put it out there, I remember being at church this Sunday, and I was going up to the altar for, you know how they do altar call for prayer and different things like that. And I remember going up there, and, you know, people are up there, you know, doing what they do and connecting with their creator in the way, and God, the way that they needed to connect with them. And I was just like, okay. And I remember standing up, and I said to God, I can't do it like this no more. And I walked out. Wasn't anything wrong with the church. Wasn't anything happening there. I just understood that I needed something far more deeper than just casting my cares to the Lord, right? So, and for some people that can be okay. I think that it's okay to have a mixture of a couple of different things. But I remember going home, thumbing through, scrolling through a website, looking for local therapists, and I ended up landing on the name of a therapist who would change my life forever. Makes me emotional to talk about that, but she would change my life forever. And and it's literally how it was. That trajectory took me to where I sit today, to be able to talk to you about that leg of my journey. But that lady changed my life forever. And I remember making a really conscious decision when I started therapy and being really serious about it. I said, I'm going to shut my life down. I'm still working, still a young professional. I was like, I'm going to shut my life down for a few years, probably, and I did it for 2. And I'm going to give it a go at this therapy thing. I'm going to give it a solid go. I didn't know what was going to be on the other end of it. I didn't know what was going to be on the other side of doing really intentional healing work. But what I did know and did understand is that I could not remain where I was. I could not remain where I was, because it was going to tank me. It was going to tank me emotionally. It started going in that direction for me. So I sat down and I began to sift through the things. And here's why that began to happen, is because I slowed down enough to catch up with myself, to recognize. And when I say that it is truth in the statement that you cannot outwork trauma, you cannot outwork grief, you cannot outwork things that have impacted your life. You just can't outwork it, because it's always going to find a way to come in. And that's what I was experiencing. So the slowdown started back in 2009. The slowdown for me started there. It started there, and I haven't stopped. And I've been slowing and slowing and slowing ever since, because what I recognized at that moment was I got to anchor into me. These accolades, these achievements, all of these other things, they are great. They help me live. I don't devalue any of those things, but I needed me more than I needed any of those other things. I needed myself. And the only way that I could get back home to myself was to slow down enough to begin to really pay intentional attention. Intentional attention. You'll hear it again as we talk about this, as I go through this series of slowing down. But I begin to pay intentional attention to what the activations that were happening for me. And when I really began to anchor into my emotions, I learned that there was such a deep, rich, painful, grief-stricken story that needed to come out of my bones. It had to be told. It had to come up out of me. And sitting here with you today is a result of that work, to even be able to talk about that. So this is why slowing down is important to me, and this is why I want to bring this to you, probably in a few weeks of a series that I'm planning. I'm writing my notes, doing my research, putting my stuff together, and getting my points together. All the things that I wanted to talk to you about. But I also feel like that I can't talk to you about nothing that I ain't been through. I haven't gone through all the things, but I've gone through some things. And I will share from a place. I don't share from a place of my wounds. I share from a place of those scars that have healed. Doesn't mean that those places don't get rattled every now and again, but I really know how to be with it when it happens. But I can't talk to you about what I haven't gone through. And when I tell you that in the world and in the environment, in the culture that we're living in right now, slow makes sense to me. It makes so much sense to me. It makes sense in understanding the decisions that we make, the choices that we make, how we choose or not to choose to interact with certain things, certain people, certain environments. Even what we're seeing collectively, both nationally, what's happening on a national stage and what's happening on an international stage, I believe is a result partly because we won't anchor into ourselves to really see and feel what's going on with us. It's a very counterintuitive. And let me tell you something. I felt really scared about taking this approach on talking about this topic because we live in a world that wants it like this. And I will say it before, and you will hear it from me a couple of times just throughout all of this. Fast is not how you want it when you're talking about your healing work. You want it slow and intentional so you can catch every piece of it so you can begin to integrate it. That's the piece. You want to begin to integrate it. Now, I'll tell you what's the difference between me as a therapist and maybe some other therapists who practice a different framework and a modality. There are various other frameworks and modalities that are out here. Your CBTs, your DBTs, EFTs, radical acceptance, all of those things. If you're doing any type of therapy work or any type of healing work, I would encourage you as you're starting your journey to begin to invest in what is skills work and what is process work. I am an IFS therapist. EMDR is also another process-focused therapy. IFS therapy, internal family systems, is a focus. It is a process-focused therapy, whereas you won't get a 10-point plan of to do these things and then your life will get better. We do things a bit differently. So the framework in which I'll be talking about everything on this page is going to come from an IFS perspective. So this space is for the people who want to come in, lock in, and be in it for the long haul. If you're looking for the 10-point plan, if you're looking for the points, if you're looking for the quick fix, I'm not quite sure that I'm for you, and I'm okay with that. And it's okay that I'm not for you as well, too. There's a space for that. But this is for those that are ready to lock in and to anchor in and to do this work. So I am looking forward to spending this time with you all. I'm going to be we're going to be talking more in depth about this topic of slowing down, but I wanted to introduce myself and share a little bit about my story and that. So what I want you to do is to like, comment, share, and subscribe on this page. And if you find this helpful, or if you know somebody else that's just like, hey, this is where we want to get locked in, send this to them. Sharing is caring, y'all. So, again, my name is Charlie Pleasant. Go ahead, hit the like and subscribe button here. Share this as well, too. And I look forward to you. We're going to start with slowing down, and it'll be coming soon.